Now it's time for Lefties Losing It. You know, one of my favourite stories of the past week has been the Biden administration wanting to sack underperforming Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, but unable to because she ticks every diversity box. Can't imagine why they'd want to get rid of her. This is Karine earlier today.
Respectfully, you didn't quite answer it. The question was, why hasn't the president been more forceful in talking about the protests? You talked about how he's talked about anti-Semitism, but specifically on the protests, why hasn't the president been more forceful on that?
And I hear the question, Gabe, but respectfully, the president has been no other president has spoken about anti-Semitism than this president.
But that's not the question. It's the protest.
And I'm answering it in the way that I believe is the best way to answer your question.
I tell you what he's doing is rewarding them by forgiving their student loans. She really is hopelessly incompetent and inarticulate, and her performance only got worse. I'll be looking at that in a minute with Ami Horowitz. Now let's look at what happens when pampered theatre kids grow up and become full-time idiots. This lot put on a play of sorts outside the White House Correspondents' Dinner featuring IDF soldiers murdering civilians in cold blood.
You all deserve to f***ing live! This is our land! Your entire f***ing family is gonna be wiped off the f***ing registry!
Staying in Washington, D.C., time to check on some climate craziness. Watch as this woman tries to vandalise an artwork at the National Gallery of Art. Thankfully, it had a protective case around it, but she did her best.
All it in.
Hello, friends. My name's Joanna. I'm a mom from Brooklyn.
She's a mum from Brooklyn and she's headed to jail for vandalising that Edgar Degas statue. She's been sentenced to 60 days in prison. Enjoy that. Our good mate, the incorrigible Texan himself, Alex Stein, primetime 99 Alex Stein, he took his Gays for Palestine shtick to New York, and you know, no one makes lefties lose it quicker than Alex.
Gays for Palestine! Don't throw me off a roof!
In Palestine, they oftentimes have to run to Israel. You're not allowed to be openly gay in Palestine.
Why are we talking about gay people? Do you think they kill them? Do you think they kill them?
Do you think gay men get killed in Palestine ever?
For being gay?
Yes.
Do you have any reports of that? Do you have any? Show me a report.
My gosh. Okay,
show me a report.
This is the moment for action.
Is this jokes?
No, we're live on YouTube. We're trying to get some channel.
You like smiling, huh?
No, I'm just trying to cover
It
this.
seems funny to you. It seems funny.
Well, okay, now everybody's getting mad.
No, I hear you.
Oh my God!
To California now, where riots are breaking out at UCLA as students are forced to protect themselves from the mad mobs taking over the university. If you're wondering why students don't feel safe at UCLA, have a look at how this young man was chased down and forced to submit. But I have some good news for you. This wonderful footage of frat boys from the University of North Carolina standing up to the campus Marxists to protect the American flag. This iconic image of the young men standing tall despite being attacked is, well, I think it's going to be remembered for a long time. And good news, more than $300,000 has now been raised to throw those boys an epic party. Fantastic. There's hope for the kids yet. The US is watching college campuses be overrun by pro-Palestinian protesters who are occupying buildings, setting up encampment zones and harassing students. The Biden administration has been characteristically weak and incoherent in their response. Here is White House Press Secretary avoiding a question on who is funding these protesting students.
Some of these encampments, they had matching tents. We're being told that there are professional outside agitators involved. We don't know if they're being paid to sow chaos by domestic folks or foreign entities. Does President Biden want his administration to find out who is funding some of these protests?
What I can say, I cannot speak to the organizations that are being reported that's on the ground. That is not something for me to speak to. That is obviously something that local governments, local officials, I keep saying local government, local officials are going to speak to.
Joining me now is journalist and filmmaker Ami Horowitz. Ami, the president has been weak on this issue. He's not been really curious about who's funding these protests. He's too busy forgiving student loans. And last week, he was cozying up to AOC, who has been a strong supporter of these campus hooligans.
Yeah, no, it's incredible to watch his performance here. It's so funny. Do you remember Charlottesville? I mean, the attacks that President Trump got on the fake news of good people on both sides. But the truth is, President Biden talked about bad people on both sides. So he actually was the real Charlottesville. We talked about how there are bad people in encampments. That's true. And the people who were battling these terrible people, the Hamas supported the encampments, were also bad people. Yeah, that moral equivalence is disgusting. No, he's been terrible on this issue. He has not gotten involved. And frankly, there's been talk about federalizing the National Guard to get rid of these protesters, but they've done nothing on it. And they've run rampant on these campuses. No, he has been an absolute zero on this issue.
Now, you were yourself assaulted viciously by multiple people when visiting the City College of New York. You were just carrying an American flag peacefully, not saying a word initially, but let's have a look at what happened.
American! I'm an American! Hey, this is my flag! Oh, don't hit me! You get out of here! No, get out of here! No, I'm not. Get out of here! Get out of here! Hey! You're not going nowhere! You ain't going nowhere! This is property! Leave! No! Leave! Hey, don't hit me! Don't fucking hit me! Don't hit me, mother! Get the off of me! Yeah! Are you gonna hurt me? Get out! You gonna attack me? I'm not scared of you gotta don't choke me! What the I'm an American! I wanna go to campus! You can go to hell! Stop! Yeah, man! I'm not leaving! You can punch me all you want! I'm not leaving! Habibi, Habibi! You just choke me? Get off of me! Choke me? Don't touch him! Choke me? Stop! Yo, what the hell is I'm not fighting!
Tell us what happened there. Did anybody come in and defend you? Was anyone arrested for manhandling you, pushing you? And are you okay?
We finally got to me, Rita. We finally got to the issues that I want to talk about. Yeah, look, the idea was behind this that this issue really, ultimately, Rita, is not about Israel. Israel is a MacGuffin for those who are film buffs who understand the reference of MacGuffin. It's not about Israel. It's really about Western ideals and the United States as the representative of Western ideals, right? So how do I prove that? Well, I went to one of these Palestinian encampments, right, the pro-Hamas encampments on the City College of New York, CUNY, which I, as a resident of New York, pay taxes to. And I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually fly an American flag, not an Israeli flag, not mention that I'm Jewish. I'm simply going to fly an American flag and not say a single word. What happened? The moment my flag came out, they engulfed me. They viciously attacked me. They kicked me. They punched me. They choked me. They threw me down four stairs. The reality is that they really hate America, Rita. Israel is just a byproduct of that. Hate America because ultimately they look at America as that, again, it's all intersectional. It's all Marxism. They say if you're the top of the pyramid, the economic pyramid, you only could have gotten there by stepping on the necks of the oppressors below you, right? That's their theory of economics, the theory of life. And if you look at it writ large, the U.S. is the most powerful nation on earth. Therefore, they have to have gotten up there by abusing the oppressed. If you take it to the atomic level, that's why they hate rich people, because you only could have gotten there by stepping on the necks of people below, the poor people. Well, they look at Jews, that's why they're anti-Semitic. They look at Jews, they say Jews are the most successful subset, therefore Jews only could have been successful by oppressing other people. It is simple as that, Rita, and that's why I did the experiment.
I've been saying that all along. I'm so glad you said that. These are the same mob we see at other anti-West, anti-American, anti-Australia protests. They're against Western civilization. They're open about wanting to decolonise. And I think they see what happened on October 7 as decolonisation in action. And again, some of the academics have even said that. So they're not shy about putting those sorts of opinions forward, but a lot on the left are blind to this phenomenon. And I do wonder about the celebrity class when it comes to what's happening at the campuses across America. They seem to be falling on the side of the protesters. We've seen Susan Sarandon lead chants yesterday in Lefties Losing It. We played clips from the chat show The View. Multiple hosts there were very strongly defending the protesters and blaming the media for painting them as violent and anti-Semitic. And today was a MSNBC anchor, Chris Hayes, who tweeted, "I feel like I'm losing my mind a little. People understand that occupying buildings on campus is like one of the most common forms of student protest for decades and not some devious new ploy devised by professional anarchist plotters, right?" He just doesn't get it, does he? I mean, but there is this fracture amongst the left, because when the BLM riots were happening, it seemed the entire establishment, from Hollywood to sporting leagues to the corporates, was standing with the mostly peaceful protesters. There's certainly a little bit of fracturing happening amongst the left, but you can't deny that these students have plenty of support, particularly from their college professors and administrators.
Yeah, look, there's no question about it. And people ask me, why is this happening on campuses? I think the answer is very simple. And you hit it right there, Rita, when you said about the professors and the administrators. Look, this is no secret that the professors, the school itself, the administrators, they've been pushing this garbage for years, Rita. It's garbage in, garbage out. How are we surprised? Of course, if you have a student that comes into as a freshman on a campus, now, unfortunately, they're not really instilled with values by their parents, so they come in as empty vessels. And what do? They listen to these professors day in and day out talk about the oppression of Israel, the oppression of the United States. This is nothing new. This is stuff that was taught to me when I was in school. I'm sure it was taught to you, Rita, when you were in school. So, of course, how are they going to react to it any differently than what their professors told them? And then all of a sudden, the schools are aghast. How could it be that these students are taking a violent approach? Or if you tell them that the height of evil is the oppression of people below you, and that Israel and the U.S. are engaging in that behavior, what do you expect them to do? Of course they are. And they engage in violence, and they won't allow Jews to attend schools. Could you imagine? I don't have to imagine. We have historical reference. When people in the U.S. wouldn't allow Black people to go to school, the country went crazy, and they should, and we created laws to protect them. How is this? I don't understand how this is any different, Rita. You know, even more sick and disgusting was just last night, I was at Columbia when they were clearing out the pro-terrorist Hamas supporters from the schools. And there are all these protesters around there. Now, remember, the NYPD is majority minority. It's a mostly Black, Hispanic police force. And what were these people chanting? You are race traitors. You are disgusting. Use the N-word against these police officers who were there.
I'm with you there. Now, the protesters at UCLA are demanding the most hilarious list of supplies, Army. They want this stuff delivered to them as they continue their illegal encampment. Stuff like hot food, which was labelled important, vegan, of course. They wanted vegan supplies. They also want lotion, zip ties and rope. Sounds like a party. What sort of a decolonisation revolution is this, Army?
Yeah, I mean, I always like to have some Aquaphor when my skin feels a little bit rough, right? I totally understand that. Totally get why they would want Aquaphor and lotion. Do you remember in Colombia, there was that student who stood up there and behind her was that dude in the belly shirt, showed up his ripped abs. And she was talking about how we need humanitarian aid. We need Uber Eats.
Yeah, they were going to starve.
Oh my God. Do they have an ounce of self-awareness? Do they really not understand they're a parody of themselves? This is ridiculous. Ridiculous, Rita.
Well, I've got to bring you some sanity from a university, Florida University. They're not putting up with these petulant protesters. The University of Florida has declared they're not a daycare. They released a statement saying this is not complicated. The University of Florida is not a daycare and we do not treat protesters like children. They knew the rules. They broke the rules and they'll face the consequences, said university spokesman Steve Orlando. What a perfect name for someone from Florida University. So there is some sanity at certain universities, but be very careful where you send your child. You're going to be going into debt or spending all that money for university. Do not send them somewhere where they're going to end up like the indoctrinated thugs that we've been seeing. Army Horowitz, thank you so much and stay safe. Try not to get bashed next week.
I will. Thank you, Rita. I appreciate it.